All right, y'all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you are tuning in to get educated and empowered with Toneal. I am your host, international award-winning author, filmmaker, and your empowerment specialist, Toneal M. Jackson. And I want to welcome you guys to an all-new show. We know today is Professional Development Day, and so today I want to talk to my authors. I want to talk to my authors and what we're talking about is how to make your book work for you. So if you are an author or if you know an author, make sure you tag them. That's who's going to benefit from the broadcast today. So again, let's go through our protocol. I always try to number one, make sure you say hello. So whether you are watching from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or even listening from Noon Vibe, be sure to say hello so that way I can speak back. Number two, like and share. Like and share the video. Sharing is caring. So, again, if there is somebody that you know, be sure to share the video. And finally, tag somebody that you believe would benefit from this broadcast. And as I've said, who would benefit? I won't just say new authors, right? Because you might even have seasoned authors who, you know, they've gotten tired, they've gotten a little stuck. So we want to make sure that we tag them to this broadcast. So we're going to jump right into it because there are some things that I want to talk about, and y'all know I try not to keep you all long, but again, I said to make sure that you bring your questions to the broadcast. Now listen, I know that I put this out here and I'm going to kind of go over what we're discussing, the three different groups of people that we're talking about, because again, depending on the platform you're tuning in from, it would kind of dictate how you're getting it. So like I think on Instagram, I put make your book work for you, right? That's on Instagram and Known Vibe. But I want to kind of like break it down even more for how we're going to do this. So this is really going to help you with branding. Because again, remember when we're talking about professional development, it is not just about the literary world, right? This, what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to show authors how to make their books work for them. But I would venture to say that this actually could help any entrepreneur. You just substitute the book for whatever your particular item is, right? We're going to see how it works, but I believe that I can say that fairly and that that would actually work. So we're going to go over three different classes of authors. But like I say, when we're talking about professional development, sometimes we can be talking about, you know, specifically to authors in terms of writing and editing and things like that, right? But then sometimes when we're talking professional development, we're talking about how to carry ourselves, how to present ourselves. Then sometimes we can be talking about marketing, you know, sales, might be branding. There are a lot of different aspects of professional development. It may not always be geared toward entrepreneurs, but most times in dealing with me, it will. And so in either case, like I said, we're going to go ahead and jump through. If you all have any questions, I want to make sure that you do ask your questions. Make sure that you put your questions on the screen. If you are listening in from Noon Vibe, then make sure that you either put your question in the inbox or you can even come to the microphone. And it's amazing. I'm gonna say this and then we'll jump right into it. It's amazing when I first started allowing the listeners from Known Vibe to come on. I initially were not having them come to the microphone when I did my live, but I think that it's actually working out very well this way. So I want to jump right into it. Okay. So again, if you have any questions, if you are an author, put your question on the screen. We're talking to authors who you wrote this book, but you're frustrated with your outcomes. So maybe you don't have a fan base. We're going to talk to you. We're talking to authors who thought the book would sell itself. So in other words, you're not really making the money that you thought you'd make. We're talking to you. And then we're talking to the author who is confused on what to do now. The book is published, but what do we do now? So you don't really have a brand, okay? So if you find yourself in one of those three categories, no fan base, no money, no brand, then I'm talking to you, and be sure to ask your question, because again, I am going to address your question right here live. Also, I have a very, very special offer that has never been done before for those who wait until the end, or if you watch through the end. So even if you come back and for the visual stream, if you watch this all the way through, there will be a very special offer that I have never made before. Don't know if I'll ever make it again. And that would be my personal thank you to you. So let's go, let's get into it. All right. So if you are an author, and again, if you're not, but you know one, tag them to this as well. But if you are an author, you wrote a book and you're frustrated with the outcome. So what I'm talking about there is like, okay, you wrote this book, but it doesn't really seem like nobody is listening. Doesn't seem like nobody is talking about it, right? Doesn't seem like you have any type of, like, your exposure is very minimal. So maybe at the point when you wrote the book, maybe there were people that were there initially. So say you had you launched, you had a release event. So the day that you released the book, there were people who came out to your release party, but it's like ever since then it has been crickets. If that's you, we're going to talk to you for a minute. I'm just going to kind of go through some things generically. If this is you, what it is that you can do. Hey, Douglas, thanks so much for tuning in. So, listen. If you've written a book and you're like, man, where are the people? I heard, about people being able to have a fan base. Why don't I have a fan base? Because I wrote the book, I had the book release, and it was like 100 people at the book release, but I don't hear any chatter about it. I'm not getting invited to any events. Like, it's not happening. It's not what's going on. So let me just tell you something that might be a problem. If you're listening to me or you're watching me, that then means that you are on social media in some regard, right? So the question I then have is, do you have a business page for your book, right? Do you have some type of page? Because let me tell you, a lot of clients that I have who are authors specifically have this whole thing where I don't like social media. I don't want to be on social media. And what you have to understand is, whereas, okay, no, it may not be quote unquote necessary to be on social media personally. Professionally, you have to figure out, where are your people, right? So where are the people that you wrote this book for? Because what I'm hoping is that when you wrote the book, you had some type of business plan. When you wrote the book, you understood who your target market was. And maybe we should start there, but guess what? We ain't gonna do it on this podcast. And you know what? I'll tap into that when we talk about the not having a brand. I'll tap into that a little bit. But when before you even, have the book published. Hey Mabel, hey Sally, thank you guys so much for tuning in. But before you publish the book, if you know you're writing a book, and again, I'm talking to authors, but this advice could go for any entrepreneur that has a business. When you know you're about to launch a product, right? You need to already be talking to people. You need to already be interacting with people. And the fact of the matter is that for most people, you have to do it more than one time, right? Like, a lot of times people will say, oh, my product, my project, whatever it is, it's about to launch next week. You say you told people, you put one post one time on social media, and then when nobody responded, you got discouraged. And so now you're frustrated. You're like, man, this whole thing didn't work. I wrote the post, but nobody responded. Well, you have to understand understand that when you're dealing with social media, it is a very saturated platform. I don't care whether you're talking about Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Noon Vibe. They got threads now. Like, first of all, it's so many freaking different platforms, right? So you may want to talk to somebody like myself who can help you determine which platform is most effective for you and what you're trying to do, right? So, like, you have to understand, what is my brand? Even with the book, like, what is this book about? Where can I reach most people? Is it most effective for me to be on LinkedIn? Maybe Pinterest is best, maybe Instagram, maybe Facebook. Like, you need to figure out where are your people, and then you need to establish a presence where they are, right? So one of the reasons why you very well may be frustrated is because you think that your name is Kevin McAllister and you're home alone. You're like, because I wrote the book, so now I'm in my living room or I'm in my office or whatever, and I done pushed it out. I've uploaded, whether you use Ingram Spark or KDP or Lulu or whoever you use. I know that when I go to Amazon, I see my book on Amazon, but I don't hear anybody talking about me. There's no chatter. There's no invites coming. So again, what I'm asking to you, hey, Mama Joyce, what I'm saying is that maybe what happened was you launched prematurely, or you launched and didn't understand how to interact with your people, how to find your people, right? And so this is what I'm saying. What you have to do a lot of times as authors, you may feel like, okay, because I know how to write the book, that also means I know how to market the book. And they're not necessarily one and the same. You also have to understand that marketing, baby, that is its own whole job by itself, right? And so even if maybe you don't have a bankroll just for a marketing team, you can help yourself in being a marketer by, again, establishing some type of presence. So I will not just limit it to an online presence, even though I will say that in this day and age, it's probably easier and most cost effective if you are online, right? But you can still do it old school. You can still go offline, interact with people. You can still do that, right? So again, I would say you need to know whatever your product is, you need to know who is that target market. Where are those people? Where is this audience, right? And so that's how come now, again, specifically for my office, if you're writing a book, you need to know, who am I writing to? And this is why you guys have heard me say this many times before. If ever anybody asks you who your product is for, your answer should never be everybody. If your answer is everybody, that's exactly how you know that nobody is going to get. Nobody other than your immediate family and friends are going to get it, because you are not writing, or you're not marketing specifically to them, right? So matter of fact, Mama Joyce is watching, so let's use her as an example. One of her latest books that she wrote it is a cookbook for stroke survivors. That is a very specific niche market, right? So she automatically knows who she's targeting. I am writing to those who have suffered stroke, who are surviving stroke, and maybe even those who are what we like to term co-survivors. So maybe I didn't have the stroke, but I'm the caretaker of a stroke survivor. This is who her ideal market would be, right? Why? Because with this cookbook, what she does is she basically not just gives you recipes, but she's telling you the products that she uses to make these things. So that way you can go and you can find the things. Being a stroke survivor, she lets you know, hey, I'm only cooking with one hand. So if you are a stroke survivor who only has the activity of your dominant hand, she's talking to you. She's basically giving you meals that you can make with just limited activity. So you don't have to feel depressed. You don't have to feel like that, oh, the best of you is gone just because you may be altered a little bit, right? So it's very good to, a lot of times what we'll feel is because I'm being very specific, then maybe that's going to alienate everybody else. But let me tell you what it does. It's actually making sure you're in the right room, right? Because if you're in a room with people who don't even know what stroke is, they have had no experience with it. If you're Mama Joyce, then that's not really going to help you because they are not sympathizers. They don't understand. You're not really speaking their language. Yes, you are an author, but no, you're not talking to them. Think about it in the movie world. You might like watching movies, but just because you like watching some movies don't mean you like watching all movies. I'm a person, I love documentaries, right? So, but I'm not about to watch a horror movie. So just because if you call me, you might say, hey, what you watching? And I say a movie, like we got to be specific. What kind you watching? Or if you're asking me to come and watch something, don't you invite me to no horror movie because I'm not going to be there to watch it. You see what I'm saying? You have to know your material. And so when you know your material, it helps you to know what room to be in. So to round robin this, understand again when we're talking about if you don't have people that's coming to you, because when you are specifically an author, you should automatically be positioning yourself so that you are a subject matter expert at the very least. Like if nothing else, you should know what you've written about. You should be able to talk about that thing inside and out, right? So when you, again, you can go offline, right? You can, if you just have that type of time, and if you're just more comfortable being in person with people, then again, I'll continue to use Mama Joyce's book as the example. Like, so if maybe she doesn't want to be online, if she feels like doing the legwork to maybe find some if there is maybe a support group for stroke survivors, that's a place that she may be able to go to see about pitching her book. She may be able to, you see what I'm saying? So like you can find a way to build community, or if maybe she wants to start her own community and then she invites different those who have suffered stroke. She says, okay, well, I'm going to host every first Friday, I'm going to host an event. So so she spends her time trying to get the word out to stroke survivors, and then maybe she brings them in her home and she does like an actual show and tell, right? Or basically where it's kind of a intimate setting, and she's demonstrating how it is she does it, and then she opens up her kitchen so that she can kind of be a live tutorial. So if you want to be in person hands on, then absolutely do that. But if you have the type of book or brand where, you know what, I don't, whether it's the type of book or brand, or maybe your personality is not one where you like to deal with people in person, or maybe your time doesn't allow, like I again will say, you need to go to where the people are. So in this same example, she could do the exact same thing. If she does not have a personal profile page, if she's like, I don't want people to be in my business because I'm not that person that's going to post what I ate for dinner. I don't want you to get ready for me, get ready with me. All of these different trends. Maybe she doesn't want to put that out there personally, but professionally, there needs to be a page, whether it's about her as the author, or again, this will work for people who have multiple books. So like if you only have one book, then if you want, you can make a page just for that one book. And so all things on that page will simply be talking about the content of that particular, whatever that topic is. Or if you have multiple books or multiple businesses, you're a serial entrepreneur, then the page should be about you or whatever your brand is. There should be some type of common thread that connects your brand. So again, when people think you, what do they think? And that right there is where I'm going to stop, because I want to go ahead and transition that to the second thing. So again, if you're just tuning in, I am talking to authors who have written books. So specifically, I'm talking to authors, but generically, if you are an entrepreneur who you have a product, but it's just not performing like you thought it would. So either you don't have the fan base that you thought, so nobody's really talking about what you've done, you're not making money off of it, or you're confused because you have no idea what your actual brand is. You are who I'm talking to today. So the first piece of this show, I've kind of talked to that entrepreneur, specifically the author, who is frustrated because they don't have the exposure, and just kind of letting you know might help you if you establish an online presence, or even if it's not an online presence, you can do offline. But you definitely have to, in either case, you need to know who your specific market is. Where are your people? You need to know where your people are and find a way to get to them. Second thing, because it transitions very well with what we're talking about in branding. Hey, Peter. So you have written, you have this book, and maybe you don't know how to brand yourself, right? And this really is for people who write memoirs or autobiographies, right? Because you're just saying, hey, well, this is my life story, so I don't really what am I the expert in, right? So one of the things that I tell my clients, I just finished launching a client out of Vegas. I think we launched on the first, matter of fact, so just last week. And when we were in the process of getting her stuff together, what I told her, because again, this was a memoir, started out as a memoir. We ended up kind of changing it more so to narrative fiction just to make her comfortable with the contents therein. But the point is, I told her, I said, okay, what are the recurring themes in the book? I need you to think about this, right? Because here's the thing, as the coach, yes, I could tell her this is what I see, but this is me as a reader. If she's going to be the person who is going to be talking about this is her subject matter. So she has to find a way to be comfortable with it. So it's about getting people to see the book through your eyes, right? And so when you wrote this, what was it that you were thinking? What did you see? What were the recurring themes? And so once you understand what that is, then now remember I was talking about positioning yourself as an expert. So now what you start doing is you start getting information about, let's see, you start getting information about that, right? So like if you wrote a book and maybe you had an abusive childhood, okay, so now what you start doing is you start educating yourself about child abuse as a generic subject. You see what I'm trying to say? So it doesn't have to be that you want people to be a expert in your personal life, but you have to understand that if you write a book about child abuse, then, and so let's couple that. You write a book about child abuse, but maybe you still are not comfortable with talking about your specific childhood, right? Because a lot of times people think that just because I wrote a book about it, that I'm in a place where I'm comfortable talking about it. In the ideal situation, you want to be. Why? Because if done properly, done meaning if the book is written well, published well, promoted well, and people have the book, the whole goal, if you're putting it out there, or at least one of them, is so that people have your book. So if people have your book in their hand, they're going to ask questions about it, right? So ideally, you're in a place and space where you're comfortable with discussing your story. But even if you are not, you have to figure out how to be able to pivot. And so this is a great time to pivot right now. We have Cora on the line, and so she's either going to ask a question or give a comment really quickly about this topic. How you doing, Cora?
I'm doing so well. I love what you were saying earlier. I just feel like it really connects me. Like, if you write a book about child abuse or anything like that and you don't feel comfortable with sharing that, I totally agree. I am personally into Joyce Meyer books. Yeah. I just think they really speak to me. And she also goes on like live television. And yeah. And I would just like to know if you have any suggestions on anything like that. If you have any tips.
Absolutely. And that, because that kind of ties into branding. So keep listening. And I'm actually going to get into that right now because I'm very familiar with Joyce Meyer. I've been watching her and listening to her for years. So I will talk about that comment specifically, but then generally how you can further brand yourself, because that's exactly where we are and being confused on what do you do now. Thank you so much for coming on and asking your question.
Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely. So again, where we are, for those of you who are just now tuning in, we are specifically on Thursdays. We talk about professional development, and so today I'm specifically talking to authors. Technically, I'm kind of squeezing entrepreneurs in there too, right? But for those who entrepreneurs, authors who have written a book, but you're frustrated because you don't really have the fan base, you are confused on what to do because you don't understand your brand. That's where we are right now. And I want to incorporate what Cora talked about. So here's the thing, you have to understand what is the message that you want to get out, right? Because you control your message. So I could read a book, Cora could read a book, Joyce could read a book, and we could all get something totally different from whatever the book is, because most of the time we see ourselves. So whatever happened to me that you're talking about, that's the part that I'm going to resonate with, right? But you as the author, you are the one who are, you're in control because you want to paint the picture so that people see what it is you're trying to get at, right? Now again, art is totally subjective. So if you are not the type of author that wants to be in the limelight, if it's just, hey, all I want to do is write the story, because we have people in all categories. Some people just want to be able to say, hey, I always want to write a book. I wrote it. Whatever y'all get out of it, that's up to you. But if you want to become the brand, right? So now I want to position myself as a subject matter expert, which is what Dr. Joyce Meyer has done. Now, for those of you who don't know who Dr. Joyce Meyer is, she's a lot of different, she wears a lot of different hats. So she is a pastor, so she's in the religious sector, but she is an entrepreneur, she is an author, like she does a lot across the board. She has her own TV show. So there are a lot of different hats that she wears, right? This is all on branding. It's like, okay, I was a pastor, and then because I started preaching these sermons started resonating with people. So now what I've done is I've taken some of these sermons and I've taken pens and paper because I've created that audience. Remember that first step. So now I have people who are looking for me. And so what happens is, so like, let's just say it like this. Let's say if, matter of fact, let's just keep using Joyce Meyer as an example. So let's say if she started out and her brand was, maybe she didn't think about it as a brand, right? Many ministers don't think of themselves as a brand. But let's say she started out and she's just preaching. And now people are really hearing her voice. They're liking what she has to say, and they want more. So they want more beyond the pulpit. They want more than just on a Sunday morning, right? So now what she's done is say, okay, well, I'm going to take these messages, I'm going to take this advice, and I'm going to pen it to a book. So now now she's becoming a brand, right? And so now it's the book, but now I also have a TV show. So it's multiple ways when we talk about branding, multiple ways that you can have to get out your message, right? So for her, that's what she chose to do. Preaching, writing, TV shows, all of this is getting out her message. But you have to say, how can I get out my message? What can I do? So again, if you have, going back to Mama Joyce Graham, with her book, the latest one, because she's written multiple books, but for her latest book, that is a cookbook, right? So one of the things that she can do to brand herself is actually very ingenious. If you got, Mama, if you're still watching, please put the link to your book in the comments, just in case anybody wants to get this visual. But I'm trying to remember exactly how it's called, but it's like the one-handed shelf or something like that. So she's giving you, just even in her title, her branding about it is coming across, because this book, again, is a cookbook for stroke survivors. So to reference herself as a one-handed shelf or the one-handed survivor, however it is, it's kind of letting you know, okay, this is what she's doing. So she is looking or to help people who are stroke survivors to build awareness or within themselves to know, hey, just because this tragic thing may have happened to you, you can still get your power back, right? And so this is how, if you love to cook before, you can come back in the kitchen. And other people could write other things, right? Because I am a stroke survivor, so there are things that there is life after, there is life after stroke, right? And so her branding for this particular book is all about stroke awareness, stroke survivors. And I typically say this: when you're talking about branding, if you really want to gain clarity on what your brand is, you should be able to address that: who, what, when, where, why, how, right? You should be, who is your target market? What is your message? Where are you trying to go with it? You see what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to do it? Why are you doing what you're doing? Like, you need to have clarity about your brand, your business, your book, whatever it is. You need to have clarity, because if you're confused, y'all can finish that sentence for me. If you're confused, then how is your audience going to have clarity? If you don't know what type of coach you want to be, if you don't know what type of book you want to write, if you don't know what type of product you want to launch, how can the people? Anyway, hey Cecilia, hey Dr. Robert, Cora, Daryl, Steve, Peter, Mabel, Sally, and Douglas. Thank all of you guys so much for tuning in. Everybody that's watching from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, thank you guys as well. If you all are not already following me, feel free to do so at Educated and Empowered, the number 2, across all of these social media platforms. And again, I'm not going to stay on this one. We're going to go to the third and final tip that I'm going to discuss, or even person that I'm going to discuss today. So we're talking about how to make your book slash product. So if my entrepreneurs is watching, y'all trying to insert yourself on the slide, go ahead, because it'll work for you. But we're saying how to make your book work for you, right? So, or whatever your business, whatever your brand, how to make it work for you. So I started the show talking to that person who wrote the book, and now you're frustrated because you haven't received your exposure. I've already told you what to do. If you're just tuning in, be kind and go ahead and rewind. Absolutely, you can ask a question, Mama Joyce. I encourage, if you guys are watching, put your questions on the screen. If you're listening, feel free to come to the microphone and ask your questions, because that's what I am doing at this point. So we've talked to that person. We've talked to the person. So the person that had no fan base, no exposure. We started the show off talking to that person. I just got finished giving some tips to the person who's confused about the brand. You don't, okay, I got the book, but now where do I go from here? You establish your brand. So, and again, that a lot of these things should be done in the pre time, right? So before the launch actually happens, before the publishing actually happens, there should be a lot of thought process going on, a lot of, brand building that's happening behind the scenes, so that once you launch, people are ready to receive you. But even if you've already launched, you've already released, it's okay. It is never too late to get started, right? So now I want to finish out with the person who thought that the book would sell itself. And now you're frustrated, you're angry, because you haven't made any money. I can't tell you guys. I told you, like, so I am a award-winning author. I've been in literary world for 13, 14 years now. And so, like, not only did I have my own organization where I help independent authors, but I am also a lit coach. So I've had a lot of individual clients, and I cannot tell you, one of the greatest misconceptions, I don't care on what level, is people feeling like, okay, All I have to do is put my book on Amazon. And so as soon as my book is on Amazon, I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to rake in the money. And so you hit that submit button, you're uploading it again, whether through KDP or Ingram Spark, you hit submit, you go and look, and you so excited as you should be because it is a whole accomplishment to actually get to the place of being done and wanting to upload to submit, right? You hit submit, you get that congratulatory email, your book is now available. So you're totally stoked, so happy. But then a month later, you ain't made no money. You had the book release, but since then you ain't sold the book. And so now you feel bamboozled. You feel like somebody done tricked you. And heaven forbid if you went through a publisher where you had to pay to publish, you think that you done got scammed. You feel like, because, and let me tell you this, I ain't gonna go into this on today's show because this is totally different. Those people who confuse publishers and publicists, thinking that because you got a publisher, that your publisher is supposed to be the one to sell your book for you, that your publisher is supposed to be the publicist. Like, we're going to do a show about that. Because it's not the same thing, right? So you're now frustrated. You think that this whole thing has been a scam, a whole waste of time, when baby, you done just you stopped too early. Let me see. Let's see. So before I go any further, it's called, the book that I've been talking about from Dr. Joyce A. Graham. It's called Cooking with Mama Joyce, The One-Handed Chef, and it is available on Amazon. So if you guys want to go and see her book, it's a red book. She has on a chef hat, and I'm just saying that so that way y'all know it's the right one, right? She has on a chef hat. So that way you guys already get an idea of what it is. Now, the end says, let me see. Um, I'll go ahead and rewind, but yeah, a year in, and I can say for sure they don't sell themselves, but the journey of meeting the audience and seeing people benefit is worth it. And I will touch on this really quickly to piggyback on what the just said. Remember, I told y'all when you're at the onset how you're doing your business blueprint, you need to know at the very beginning, and again, I don't care what type of business it is, whether it's a book, a brand, of business, what's your why? What are you trying to accomplish through this, right? Because one of my greatest pieces of advice that I can give, I've been giving it for years, your effort and your expectations must match. You cannot say that I want to, I want to be a best-selling author, but you are not doing anything to make that happen. You cannot say, I want to make a full-time income with this book, but you don't want to do any events or do any promotion. You can't say, well, you know what? I don't care if I ever make a dime off of this book, but then 6 months later, be mad because you ain't made no money. Like, you have to know exactly, there is no right or wrong. It's only what you want to happen. But again, this is why I say you need to know what is it that you want to happen. You need to know that, because if you're coming to the table confused, if you come to the table, and again, I've seen this time and time again, you come out and it's, well, I don't even really care. I'm just so honored that I wrote this book. I'm just so happy just to have it out. I don't care if nobody ever buy a book. And then 6, 8 months later, you're mad at the whole literary world because nobody ever bought a book. But baby, you never did any of the things because you said that you didn't care. You just want to write the book. So you then can't turn around and be mad because you wrote the book. That accomplishment don't change. Whether anybody ever buy it, it does not change the fact that now you are a bona fide author. But you can't then turn around and get mad. But you can. It's okay to change your expectations. It's okay to say, okay, well, you know what? It was nice to have the book published. Okay, but now I see that it's possible to make money. So now I want to figure out how to do that. You can absolutely change your expectations, but guess what? Now you also have to change your effort. Mama Joyce's question is Facebook the best platform for marketing my book versus Instagram or YouTube? Okay, that is a great question. So I'm going to answer this generically, Mama Joyce, and then specifically for you. Okay. So, generically, whatever product you have, whether it's a book, a business, whatever, you need to know who your target audience is. Okay. So, knowing that, and knowing what each social media platform does, because every social media platform, they are not created equal. They don't have the same strategy, the same approach. It's totally different. How you interact on Facebook is not how you interact on Instagram, is not how you interact on YouTube, is not how you interact on TikTok. And that may sound very crazy and confusing because all of them technically can be visual platforms, but even how you create your videos, how you interact, it's a totally different experience across the board. So you need to know who are the types of people that are on each platform, like what are their behavioral patterns. So let's just give an example. Typically with Facebook, you're very social. It's not to say that Facebook does not have a business side to it. It's not to say that you can't make money from Facebook, but typically it's a lot of, we're friends on Facebook, right? So we're giving all different types of advice, whether it's through our posts, through our videos, and with Facebook, just like with Instagram, you can have like this extended type show like what I'm doing now. You can have an extended time and people will join in and things like that. And many of the times it's based upon the friends that you have. So here I'm going live off of my fan page. But I don't know how effective the fan page, or actually it's the business page. I'm sorry, let me be politically correct. So I am going live on Facebook, but I'm going live on Facebook from my educated and empowered business page. Now, in true transparency, because I'm building that page, I don't know how effective it would have been had I not already had a presence on Facebook. Does that make sense? If not, just keep going. I'm gonna just keep listening. I'm gonna give you some explanation. So on Facebook, I have over 5,000 followers. So I can tell my followers, hey, like when I go live from my personal page, I probably will have hundreds of people tune in because I have thousands of viewers, right? You have to understand that it's also a numbers game. So if I don't have any viewer, if I don't have any followers, then what's the likelihood that I will get viewers? Does that make sense? So even if you say, okay, well, I'll go live on YouTube as an example. Understand with YouTube that you don't have the opportunity. Like, for example, when I went live here today, specifically today, I did not have the opportunity. I've been ripping and running all day. So normally I like to kind of promote my shows in advance. Well, I wasn't home to do that. So because I didn't promote it in advance, what I had to do to make sure that I had an audience here was I promoted it on my personal page. Why? Because I know somebody is going to see my personal page. And then the people from my personal page came over to the business page. But if I'm on YouTube, guess what? There is not a way to just go ahead and do that interaction. YouTube, you're just going to be uploading videos. And even though now they have the opportunity to do shorts, you can go as long as you want to, but it's like, okay, if you don't have subscribers, then you'll just be going live, but nobody will be watching. So again, this is why I say understand what is your why for doing it. If you're just trying to get the experience, if you just want to have some personal videos or whatever, then that's one thing. But if you want it to be, hey, I think that people will watch this, because again, I call it YouTube University. There is something for everybody on YouTube. It's something for everybody on every social media platform. But what I would do, if you believe after doing your research that YouTube is the best platform, I would then say, if you're on Facebook and if you have more Facebook friends than YouTube followers, start encouraging those people to subscribe to that channel. But beyond that, the way that you start building your YouTube audience is by having a consistent presence. And that's the other thing. When you have these platforms like YouTube, like Instagram, like TikTok, and again, this is my personal opinion just off of the years of experience I've been doing this, it's kind of a need for you to be more consistent with your posting on those platforms. If you are not posting 1 to 3 to 5 videos every day, then because it's so overly saturated, people are not staying. Whereas on Facebook, I don't have to post to still have a presence. So in other words, I don't have to post a video, I don't have to upload a video. But seeing this how, like with YouTube and TikTok, the only way really you can interact is by videos. When you're not posting videos, then people stop looking for you. On Facebook and even with Instagram, it doesn't have to be a video. You can just have like a photo or something like that. So you can post more regularly without having to go live on camera. So if you're a type of person who you don't want to be live all the time, then I don't know that YouTube or TikTok would be your best platforms to use. So it just, again, it really depends on what it is that you're trying to do. So I know it's a little lengthy, but I'm hoping that that answers your question. Now, Deanne says this also happens to musicians. Talent is not enough. That's good, Deanne. I'm gonna touch on that. She says talent is not enough either. But I have a mentor who is now 90 who let me ride along as she showed me you have to build your audience. It changed my life. Absolutely. Because listen, again, you can be the best author ever, you can be the best writer ever, the best musician ever, but if nobody knows what you've done, you could have made the world's best movie, but if the world don't know about it, then is it really the world's best? Y'all get where I'm going? So so you can be you can be a great philosopher, have the best next to Socrates, Plato, Nietzsche, like all of the greats. But if nobody have read a word or heard a word that you said, just the fact that you're talented isn't enough. You can be, the next great Mozart or Bach if you're classical, but if nobody knows that you exist, your talent alone isn't enough. So let me see. Deanne also says Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, IG, totally different. Absolutely. She says, my virtual assistant blew my mind and explained how different with, yes, yes, yes. Says so in a month or so, you can, let me see, but in a month or so, you can get good data to know where your audience is more active. Absolutely. Just drop in a recommendation of this person's name, already a part of Big Cyrus Web, Kate Thurman circle that she got into because of me. You are so welcome. But again, this is why I'm saying you have to know what it is that you're doing and why. Right. So me being a person who I am a coach. I am well, I'm a lot of stuff, y'all. But for me, a lot of times I'll just kind of summarize to say I'm a connector of people. I know a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons, right? And so therefore, when I'm connected to different people, then I can help connect the people I know to the people that need to know them. And so in either case, guys, I'm hoping that this has brought some clarity because we are getting close to that 1 hour mark. If anybody else has any questions, whether again on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or even from Noon Vibe, please gather those questions now. So for Noom, if you either have a question, you can come to the mic or put it in the inbox. Facebook, throw it up there on the screen. Because what I do want to do is give this offer. This is a never before done offer. I don't know if I'm gonna do it again. Y'all, it could just be because I'm in such great spirits. I just found out what my grandbaby gonna be. I can't say nothing. I'm the only one that knows. Got because I'm planning the gender reveal. Just found that out. So it could be because I'm in a great mood. It could be because it's technically holiday spirit, holiday season. I don't know. But for whatever the reason, I'm gonna offer something that I've never offered before. And again, I don't know if I ever will, but we have Dr. Robert Goodman who is at the microphone. So I'm going to let Dr. Goodman either ask his question or make his comment real quick. And then I will go into what my offer is. Hey, Dr. Robert, how are you? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. Let's try to get them in here again. We're gonna see if we can get them in. Mm-mm. I don't know what's going on, Dr. Robert, but it keeps dropping you. All right, but just inbox me, Dr. Robert, because I don't know what's going on, why it's not letting you to the microphone. But let me go into this never before offered offer. Actually glad that some words are nouns and verbs. They can be all the things. So for those of you who have been listening to me, and again, I don't care whether it is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Noon Vibe. I don't care if it's live or even if you watch this on the replay. You will only know about this if you've tuned in, because I will not be posting this at all, because I'm the type of person, I don't want to give you a little bit and you kind of gotten it, but you're a little bit stuck, or either now you got some oohs in you, but you just need a little bit more guidance. Normally, normally, my consultation fees are is like, it used to be 100, but it's done went up to 150 an hour, right? That is normally my normal consultation fees. But for this show only, i will I will charge only $50 to give you a 30-minute session where, watch this, I am going to make a personal guarantee, never done before, even though it all, I mean, the end result is the same, but I have never publicly personally guaranteed, but anybody who has ever worked with me can vouch for me. I'm going to make you a personal guarantee. Within 30 minutes, you will walk away with at least one something to add to your arsenal. So if you were that person who wrote the book and you were frustrated because you ain't got the exposure, the fan base, you book a 30-minute session with me and we will make sure that you are leaving with at least one thing that you can do. And I ain't just saying I'm going to repeat what I said here. I'm talking about we're going to walk you through how to actually do it. Now, you have to actually execute it, but we will do that. If you are the person who you ain't made no money from your product, one session, 30 minutes, and you will leave knowing one thing that you can do. Because a lot of times we know 50, 11 things, and that's too many. Now we're totally bombarded and confused and don't know where to start, so we never start. We're going to give you one thing that you can implement immediately. If you're the person that's confused because you don't know what your brand is, what we are going to do is, we, by the time within that 30 minutes, we're going to get you focused on exactly how to brand yourself. 30 minutes, $50. If you want that deal, put it in the comments or just straight inbox me, and then we will get that to happen. And watch this. If the 30 minutes is over and you don't walk away from that call with something, I will give you your money back. I will give you your money back. Not 30 days later, not 60 days later, but literally, we will be on the call. You will leave the call having a particular thing to do. Now, watch this. I'm not guaranteeing what your results will be, because once we get off the call, you got to do the work. But I don't care what, this is just how confident I am in who I am and what I do, because I've been doing it for a long time. If you leave that 30-minute call and you don't have whatever we called in for, so if you're like, hey, I don't have the exposure, or hey, I ain't got the brand, or hey, I don't have the money, whatever your one thing is, I'm not doing it all, y'all. The 30-minute call is only for one area. In 30 minutes, I guarantee you, you'll leave the call with that one thing, at least one thing to get started with. Now, if after that you want more, then, I'm a whole coach and you can book me as a coach and we do something else. But just to be financially feasible for everybody, 30 minutes, $50. You can't get no better than that. That's the best that I get. And again, the only reason why I'm doing this is because I know this was a lot of information to take in. And if you came to the broadcast with no pen and paper, it might have been a little bit overwhelming. Maybe you got some ideas, maybe you had some thoughts, you had some oohs, and either like what's happening on Noon Vibe, the microphone is having some issues, so you couldn't get to the microphone, or maybe you weren't able to remember your question to ask it on Facebook. But here it is. I am availing myself to you. Mama Joy said, count me in. I will set up my consultation ASAP. You are absolutely welcome. Deanne said, I'm a witness. Go get this 30-minute session and be blessed. I'm trying to tell you, it don't get no better than that. My credentials speak for themselves. And if you need them, again, all you gotta do is Google my name, Toneal Jackson. I've been around for a while. I've been doing what I've been doing for a long time. So if you want the help, if you're tired of struggling, you're tired of being frustrated, confused, aggravated, come on, let's make this happen together. So, Dr. Robert, we're gonna try one more time and see if we can get you in. If not, you're gonna just have to inbox me. Let's see if we got it this time. All righty, go ahead, Dr. Robert. How you doing? What's your question or comment?
My comment was pretty much what you were saying, and that is one of the things I do is have my book, get it right, work for me on my website. So if people read my book, they'd be wanting to go to my website. But yes, I have it that the book is the reason why I got the website, and I got a why and a reason why that I'm doing it for you, and so it's like when people talk to me, excuse me, I ask them, who are you in a relationship with yourself? And it's just giving them something to think about who they are. Mm-hmm. So yes, no, I like to talk, and I actually just really promote myself in as well as the book. But you selling yourself and the experience that you have got from over the years. Other people, especially if you don't wrote a book, they gonna want to know more about it, or even know, I might buy the book. I want to buy the book. Mm-hmm. And there's quite a few people on this app right here. I talked about the book that I'm putting out now, The Cycles of Opportunities. And I got 5 people already that bought the book, and I haven't even put it out yet.
That's awesome.
And, yeah. So, I mean, it's like selling yourself. If you want to sell your book, sell yourself first.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I love that. If you want to sell your book, sell yourself first. Thank you so much, Dr. Robert, for coming to the microphone and for listening as you always do. I appreciate you. Thank you. So to everybody else, like he just said, if you want to sell your book, sell yourself first. And I may come back another day. And that, because again, when we're talking about professional development, it's all of these different aspects, right? It is about marketing, promotion, selling, branding, all of these. I think how to carry myself, like just even the mindset, the proper mindset to have, having my business affairs in order, thinking of myself as a business owner, right? Like when you write a book, you are now a business. And if you don't think of yourself that way, you are limiting your potential. So in either case, you guys have the offer, 30 minutes, $50. Let's get you where you are trying to be. So you can either respond if you are watching this visibly, whether you watch this live or on the replay. That is something that I will honor. I will not be posting this anywhere. Ain't nobody. But again, I tell you guys all the time, because I appreciate your presence, then I'm always giving quality. And you have been here with me for almost an hour now. So you see, I'm not fluffing. When you're asking me questions, boom, right here on the spot. You get a lot of people, you listen to them, they're going to talk to you for 35, 45 minutes, and they still not going to get around to your question. And then they're going to tell you, well, if you really want the answer, now you got to pay me $999. I don't string you along. I'm going to give you what it is that you are looking for. So again, because you tuned in, I know that this was a little overwhelming, because the fact of the matter is that each one of these could have been their own shows. But what I want to do, again, to be fair, is to take a little time with you and to help get you straight, help get you on the road of where you're trying to go. Maybe, depending on how far along you are in your journey, who knows what this one tip will do. For some people, it's going to give them that spark. For some people, it's going to finish you off. Some people are going to be like, girl, okay, nah, I need some more. And all of that is great, but I want to make sure that I am helping. I don't want to leave you all confused, but I appreciate you guys so much. And I do want to also make sure that you all are connected with me beyond this platform. If I don't already have your email addresses, make sure I get them. This week, because it was election week, I did not get the newsletters out, but normally on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the newsletters go out. Again, the business is educated and empowering, right? So it's educated and empowered. The number 2.com is the website. But when you get those newsletters on Tuesday, it's all about being able to educate you. I give you whatever events and opportunities that I'm offering. And so that's what you get on Tuesdays. On Thursdays, you are empowered with whatever tip or word of encouragement. So it's not very overwhelming. It's something that's just going to help to build you up. So if you want to be a part of that and receiving those newsletters, make sure that I'm getting your email address. And beyond that, we are launching our membership program because we have so many different products and services, the tools that's going to help to inform and inspire you to be your best self, right? So when you purchase the membership, then the membership is going to give you access to discounted pricing, okay? So we have a basic membership that's $100, and that's for the year. That's a one-time fee for the year. You will have access to discounted pricing to whatever apparel, books, music, movies, webinars. There are monthly webinars that's going to start in January. And so there is member pricing just for you. For $149, you get that discount, plus you get access to the Educated and Empowered Facebook group. And then for $199, you get all of that, plus the Facebook group, plus you get I think it's either 3 or 4 webinars free. Okay. And that is only $200. And again, this is for the entire year. This isn't every month. This isn't every quarter. This is a one-time fee that will give you that access. So you're getting access to the products as well as the services. So with the coaching, my coaching, the program itself for 4 weeks is $1,200, but if you are a member, it is only $900, right? That's just one example, but it's a lot. So go to the website, Educated and Empowered, the number 2.com. You see it on the screen for those of you who are watching. Those who are listening on Noon Vibe, it is my handle, Educated and Empowered number 2. So just educatingpower number 2.com. That's the website. Go and check it out for yourselves. Go and check it out for yourselves. But again, I'm going to end with this. I'm hoping that this has helped somebody. I'm hoping this has empowered somebody. You know, you got that you've been equipped with a little bit of information. But again, if you want a little bit more, $50, 30 minutes, guaranteed you will walk off with at least one thing, because you're going to either call in because you're frustrated about your exposure, you're confused about your branding, or you're conflicted about why you're not making money. And by the end of that call, you're going to have at least one something. And if you don't, then guess what? It'll be free. I'll give your money right back to you. So you can't beat it with a stick. But for everybody who tuned in, all of the folks on Noon Vibe, because there's so many of you guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Everybody everywhere else, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. I love and appreciate all of you guys so much. I hope that today I have been able to equip you with some information and inspiration to be your best self. Thank you. And I hope you've been able to get educated and empowered with Toneal. You guys have a great one.